I'm Isaac Mortarboy and welcome to the testing video for my NEA. I'm going to start off by performing a login using incorrect details. Here we can see that it says please enter a valid login, as this is already not in the database. I'll now create a new login. Using these details. And here we see that we sign in to a fresh account. The first thing I'm going to do is create a set of French animals as an example. We have filled in two values for a prompt and the definition in the table. If we want to add any more values to fill in, we can click this plus button here, which adds a new row to the table each time. Here we have the option to create a deadline. As you can see here, it prompts us to enter a due date using a calendar widget and a target score. For this example here, I'm not going to create a deadline at this time. If we click on Create Set button, we should see that a new set called French Animals appears here. The number of sets is incremented by 1, and we should be able to click on the set of French animals to open it up. Here we can see we're in the set of French animals. Here are the terms we previously just added. We can now star these terms depending on what we find difficult, or unstar them as necessary. You can add more terms to the set by clicking on this plus button here, which opens the Add Term window, or you can click on the Add Term button at the side here. When adding a term, you simply type it in the prompt box and type the definition in the definition box. You can see here we have a plethora of options for formatting the text. We could, for example, highlight a portion of it and make it bold. This text formatting is done using HTML. We can see here the prompt is displayed in bold. We can now edit this using the Edit Term button. A similar window appears, allowing us to delete the term here, or simply remove the formatting by clicking the bold button. We can then update this term, and it is updated within here. We can delete terms from the set by clicking on the Delete button. Now I will demonstrate studying using the flashcard function. If we click on flashcards, we will see a window appears, displaying all the flashcards in the set. Each flashcard widget is a Q push button, which can be revealed by simply clicking on it to show the definition. The windows can be moved forwards and backwards using the arrows either side. And terms can be starred. Here, I'd like to star the term with the definition of turtle. If I click on the star button, the window closes. The turtle term is starred. And if we open up the flashcards term again, we can see the turtle is starred. Now, if we star a set of terms, for example cat and dog, we can open the starred flashcard window. Here it will display only the flashcards which are starred. This can be useful when focusing your revision to terms you find difficult. If there are no starred terms active when we try and open the starred window, we receive an error saying there are no starred terms in the set. Please add some terms and try again. You can also test yourself by writing out the definitions for each prompt. Here we have an option to toggle whether you only want starred terms and change the number of questions within the write function. Here we can see a write table has appeared. Now we can add in the answers we think are appropriate for each term. These terms have been randomly selected from the set. If we click on the Submit button, these answers are marked according to the definitions provided. You can see here we got 3 out of 4, as marked appropriately. If we click the close button, we can see that these values here update themselves of each term. These numbers represent the percentage of times each term has been answered correctly. If we then attempt the right function again, we can try and toggle only starred terms. We can see here that no terms appear, since none of the terms here in the set are starred. If we star a selection of terms, we can repeat this process to study only starred terms. This now readjusts to the maximum number of starred terms and cannot be changed to go higher. These values have now updated in here. If we, for example, get an answer wrong, we can see that these values adjust accordingly. Now I'm going to demonstrate exporting the set to a CSV file. If I click on the export button, it prompts me with a window, allowing me to export the set of French animals. There are 5 terms in this set. If I click on the export set as CSV button, it opens a file dialog where I can export the set. We can now open this file as an example. Here we can see the CSV which the file exported. The values match those as seen in the database at the time of export. Now I'll proceed to schedule a due date for the set. If I click on the Schedule Set button, it allows me to change a due date and a target score. If I toggle Create Deadline, these values can now be edited. When I click on Update Schedule, you should see a number of changes. Here we can see it now displays the number of days remaining until our due date, alongside the due date. It also displays up here our target percentage. Now that we have some percentages for our terms, we can sort these accordingly by a number of factors. We can sort them by best known, by worst known, exclusively starred terms, or the terms alphabetically. If we also now consider our original window, we can see that the due date has been added. Now I will mark a new period of revision. If I click on Mark Revision, it will inform me about the process of marking revision. It informs me that I have not marked any prior revision. To mark a new revision date, I must first hit a test. If I click on Begin Revision Test, a similar window to the right window opens up, allowing me to input what I think are the correct answers. Here we can see the test is marked accordingly. Now a new revision period has been marked. This allows me to now sit a test. Here we have scored 4 out of 5 on the test. This is assuming we have just marked revision earlier and now set a test a significant amount of time later. If we are to repeat this process again, assuming that a period of time has elapsed, you will see the following results. When we close this window, you will see that a new Analyze button has appeared. and also a predicted score for the current data, and a predicted final score. If we click on the Analyze window, we will see this graph appear, as well as some predicted values. It predicts our current score over the period of time elapsed to be 28%, as seen and reflected in the set window. Because of the short interval between the times, the graph appears to have a very steep gradient, because we appear to have forgotten a large amount of knowledge quickly. These changes have now also been reflected in the main window. We can see here that our predicted current score, our target percentage, and our predicted final score are now inputted in the term preview. I will now proceed to open a new set. We will import a set. Sets can be imported in two ways, using the taskbar at the top, the shortcut Ctrl-Shift-I, or by simply clicking the import button. We are now prompted to input a new name for the set. Upon inputting a name, we can now choose a file to import from. Here, only CSV files are shown, and I'll be using the sample CSV for import. The file itself is displayed as followed. It contains the prompts on the left-hand side and the definitions on the right-hand side. Other external information inputted within here will not be accounted for, such as this word, test. Upon importing the set, we'll see it will appear here. Here are the terms imported from the file. We can now delete the set as follows. We can use the delete button up here to remove the set from the database. We can now see the set has gone. We can also remove a due date as follows. This removes all information about the due date and our predicted percentage, and it no longer determines how much knowledge we will retain. I will now sign in using a test login with a predefined set. You can log out of the set by clicking on the logout button here. Now I will use another login to show you the effects of the Analyze window on an evenly spaced set of terms. Here we can see we have a Latin vocab set. Here we have a list of terms, some of which are starred, some of which are studied. We can see our predicted percentage up here is 53% currently, and our target percentage is 90%. We can analyze this set by clicking on the Analyze button. Here we can see a series of curves mapping the tests conducted. We also have a variety of information on the side, including the number of terms, when the set was created, as well as the predicted percentages. We also have a key on the right-hand side indicating what each line represents. The white lines here are the estimated retention, what the program suspects you currently know at the time. The dashed lines, horizontally, are what would have been your retention had you not marked a new revision point at this time. If you hadn't revised here, it assumes your knowledge will have followed this pattern. The vertical dashed lines, in blue, are the revision dates. Today's date is marked as a vertical red dashed line, and the deadline is marked as a vertical solid line. We have a number of tests marked as blue crosses and red crosses. The red cross here has been marked as an anomaly by the program. The SciPy optimized curve fit has mapped this curve with the specific short-term and long-term variables to this set of data, and has picked out this point as an anomaly. The optimized curve fit only applies to this first curve. Any successive curves can be defined using the Change Revision Impact button here. For example, if we were to change the revision impact to 8, this reflects that the impact of revising is not as greater on a student. Here we can see the analyzed window closes, and if we were to open it again, we can see that the gradient of this curve has changed, as well as the predicted values. If we were to make this change more noticeable, you'll be able to see this effect greater. This effect is also reflected within the remaining information in the set. The point being able to change the revision impact here is so that the user can match the curves to their test accordingly to provide an accurate predicted percentage for the end. Here we see that the test here is represented accurately with a value of 10 for the revision impact. This means the value of 10 is appropriate for this set of data. I will now close this set. If we choose to import the set we previously imported, we will see that they both appear here. These sets can be ordered according to a number of variables, such as the due date, the number of terms, and alphabetically. We can now log out of the program. Thank you for watching my testing video.